Hey everyone, Ryan here. Have you ever played a game that, right when you started playing it, almost immediately you could tell that this game sucked? But, you played it, and you still loved it anyway? Despite the fact that you knew it sucked, you loved this game. Well, I have lots of those games, an embarrassing amount of those kind of games. But, today I'm going to go over one. It is called Sega GT Online. Now, this game has a bit of interesting history, because originally I believe this game came out on the Dreamcast, and of course, as we all know, that the Dreamcast soon after its release was scrapped. So at that point, Sega found themselves, it was their plan to make games for all the different consoles then, and they found themselves with no games on the other consoles at that point. So what they did is ported Sega GT, I don't remember exactly what it was called in the Dreamcast, but they ported it to the Xbox, called it Sega GT 2002. I think they must have added a couple things to call it 2002 or something. It was basically Sega GT. Same thing as on the Dreamcast. And for its day, when it was developed, it was an alright game. The car physics and everything was up to date with the competitors around it. If you look at Gran Turismo 2 and Gran Turismo 3, and the gap between there, that's kind of where it falls. Sega GT 2002, right in line with that. But this is where it gets bad, because Sega GT Online, which I have right here, came out in, it's copyrighted 2003. Well, it's got lots of different dates on it, actually. I think it came out in 2003 or 2004. And unfortunately, by that time, it was pretty outdated. There were games that had a lot more realistic physics on the Xbox at that point, I know. But this game attracted an interesting market because, as you may or may not know, Sega GT 2002 came with the Xbox a year after its release, and this game came out a little while after that. So for those that liked Sega GT 2002, they probably bought this game, and they probably got ripped off, like we all did. But well, I didn't get ripped off, actually, because I do love this game. And so this game came out, and it attracted the Sega GT 2002 audience, and it, of course, attracted the online audience, which was it was pretty few at that point, I suppose, but it still attracted us because it was the first online Gran Turismo 3. You buy cars, you have money, that kind of a style of a racing game that came out on Xbox Live, and I think one of the first racing games ever to come out on Xbox Live. So it had a market. So it came out, and my friends and I and lots of people bought this game. And it perhaps wasn't the most informed game buying decision I've ever made, and because I pretty much went into this game knowing it was gonna suck. Before I even played this game, I figured it was probably gonna suck. But that didn't stop me, because I love playing online with my friends. So how can it be bad? And ultimately, yes, that's how it did turn out. It's fun because I'm playing online with my friends. So, whatever. But so this game sucks. But yeah, what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. Shit. This game also had a lot of innovative online features. It really did. This game, as far as I can figure, set up a lot of things that a lot of Xbox Live games after this on the original Xbox did Maybe not because of this game, but, you know, it was a good example of how well it can work, at least. This game had trading online. You could trade cars for money, cars for cars, whatever you wanted to do. Unfortunately, it had a glitch with duping, which was found out maybe 2-3 weeks after the game came out. But by that time, nobody really cared about, you know, too much about actual prosperity in this game. We were just having fun with it because we knew it sucked at that point. But let's see. So I had the online car trading, which was pretty innovative for the time, and it built in some protection against fraud. For like, you could create almost an unlimited amount of accounts, but you could only use one account online, and that stopped people from creating new accounts over and over again for the money. And it was pretty innovative in its anti-fraud techniques. And you may say, well, it's not very innovative, and admittedly it's not, but at the same time, they put the thought into it. That's what counts. And I would like to think that it showed some games the way to do that. Forza. But, you know, anyway, who knows. What else did this game do that was innovative? It had competitions. Now, I think it was like a weekly competition. And so every week there's a new competition, and the top 50, or I don't remember how many players it was at all, but the top 50, it was usually a time trial. Top 50 times got an exclusive car. They could only get through that until the duping, but, you know, excuse that. So, so yeah, you got an exclusive car, and that was a pretty cool feature. Another cool thing that it did was, well, actually, this is what contributed to the duping, so maybe it wasn't so good, but it had an online menu that you could, if you hit the start button anywhere when you're in the online mode, you can get to your friends list, you can get to your online options, you can sign out of Xbox Live. Very cool stuff there. Not a lot of games did that at that point. So, props. It had an avatar system, which was awesome. I had awesome little funny guy. I'll get a picture of him on the screen there for you guys. So it's pretty cool and fairly innovative in quite a few ways. It was the first game to have a real time trial section and downloadable. Well, it wasn't the first game to have a real time trial section. Scratch that. But it was the first game to have downloadable ghosts that you could race against. Yeah, you could download like the top 10 people's ghosts and race against them and see exactly how they got that time. Whether it was from, you know, a legitimately awesome lap or some kind of cheat they did. I mean, you could watch it. So that was nice, and it was definitely the first game to do that. Props. It had a pretty good ranking system as well overall. It had ranking, of course, and time tracking for the regular mode, which was 8 players. And in that mode, you could, you know, talk to your friends and invite your friends, or play with random people too if you wanted to. Mix of both, most of the time is what we did. But also in that mode, there was another mode called 12-player battle. Now that cut out the voice, which actually, in retrospect, probably was handy because, well, actually Xbox Live wasn't such a terrible place back then. But if it were today's game, if it cut out the voice, well, it would be lame, but you wouldn't have to deal with idiots, which would be nice. But it cut out the voice, which I'm sure opened up the bandwidth for the extra players there, and it was 12-player battle mode, but you couldn't invite friends and such to that game. And it was pretty much the first implementation of a ranked mode in any game that I'm aware of. So it was like ranked versus unranked games, in lots of games that come out today. Mostly first-person shooters, I suppose, but racing games, some racing games too. So, there was very innovative in that mode. But now, I've said a lot of good things about this game. You're probably wondering, well, why does this game suck? This game sucks for This game sucks most for two reasons. First, the driving physics. Now, the driving physics are fine if you just driving alone by yourself. The cars feel all right. I just did a race or two a few minutes